Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for watching. Before we go any further, please, as we all say, hit the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. We always have new content coming out. I try to put new stuff out almost on a daily basis, so please check it out. We'll have some longer sermons and stuff coming later on, but right now it's just these little short ones. But today I want to talk about something that I ended up, this coronavirus thing, and I ended up closer to it than I expected to. I've known many people now who have had coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. And I saw something that I never expected to see when this thing came out. And that is how demonic this sickness is. It's amazingly demonic and spiritual. It's not just a sickness, of the body. It's a sickness of the mind once it gets in. And I watched people go through this, and as I'm talking to people and hearing their stories, they are all saying that they're filled with sadness and depression as they go through this thing. And I haven't heard really anybody talk about this. I've heard some case managers that we work with talk about it with the elderly, that they're depressed, but they're saying, well, they're elderly and they're trapped in, retirement homes or whatever, and they're already dealing with depression because of that, so this just makes it worse. But I've seen people who are not depressed at all get slammed with depression from this thing, and it is evil the way it will attack you. People hallucinate and they see things that are their worst nightmares come. And first of all, if you're going through coronavirus or you're still dealing with some of these side effects and whatever, and you've seen this, the only thing that you can do is to pray through it, because no medication is going to get rid of that. That's not a medicine issue. That's a spiritual issue. And when you start looking at this thing came from China, China has deep roots in demonic activities and spiritual activities. So the fact that this thing was cooked up, I believe wholeheartedly this thing was cooked up in a lab in China somewhere, and you start taking in the spiritual aspect and add that into it, that's where you get this depression and this emotional thing. Now, what's interesting, the Bible has all these phrases about fear not, fear not, fear not. And we always say them, but now more than ever with the coronavirus, it's something that Christians have to live out. The idea that we have no fear because Christ is fighting our battles for us. And we have to give ourselves completely to Christ. If this thing hits us and we allow it to, it will destroy everybody, because the problem in Christianity is that we think, well, if I say I'm a Christian, then I'm a Christian and nothing can hurt me. No. Even if you're a committed Christian who prays 16 times a day, you can still go through bad things. But the problem right now is that many Christians say, oh, I'm a Christian, so coronavirus has nothing on me. Well, that's great, but if you don't have a relationship with God, and if you don't trust that God, that His Son Jesus, the Holy Spirit can fight these battles on your behalf, then you might as well not be a Christian. You're not. It's like saying you're married, but you don't live with the person, you don't speak to the person, and you don't have any intimate relationship with them. And then you say, well, I'm married. No, you're not. You have a legal binding paper, but that's it. And a lot of Christians are already that way. So when this thing comes and it attacks hard. I've seen numerous people go through this now, and they are all complaining and saying the depression, the spiritual aspect of this thing is absolutely evil. And we have to be aware of this, that when this comes, you have to pray for it. You have to put your trust in God. You have to put your trust in Jesus, that He is going to fight your battles for you. You don't have to. and you have to push through it, and you have to get up and say, "Get thee behind me, Satan," in the name of the Lord. And you have to get up and declare that maybe 5 times a day, 20 times a day, however many times a day it goes through you. You have to do. I was just talking to somebody the other day who doesn't even have any issues with depression, none. And he got hit with coronavirus, and the first thing he said was the depression that came over him was so powerful. Realize this disease came at a time when division was already prevalent in our nation and even across the globe. I mean, even in South Africa, we see division. Throughout Central and South America, you're seeing it. So this isn't like it just popped up at a random time. This is a calculated attack. And you gotta see there's a strategy that came through here. So the first thing was especially in America, we see the division between political sides. And then we got into this thing popping up, and immediately after, and I actually said this at one point, I said the next thing that'll happen is there will be a race issue to pop up, because it's the devil's playbook. He always does this. And so when this disease started popping up, I said the next thing will be a race issue. And then we had the shooting of the man down in Georgia or wherever that was at, and then we had what went on in Minneapolis. Then what happens from there is you get this race boil up from that, and the nation now is divided by political affiliation, is divided by skin color. Now they're pushing for male and females fighting each other, and now we're also dealing with the pedophilia, which that's a battle. I'm glad that's popped up, but these are all things that they're used to divide and conquer. And then you take all of that, you throw in this disease that isolates you and says you can't be around anybody else, and at the same time it starts to play with your mind and destroy who you are from the core. And what happens is you have a whole generation of lost people that have no clue what is going on in the spiritual realm, because they're so caught up with the things that they're going through that they give up on everything else. And on top of all this, we shut down the churches. So at a point when we needed churches more than anything, we shut down churches. And some of you pastors better be careful, because you spent the last 6 months telling your congregation they don't need a church. Now you're going to reopen your church and wonder where they're all at. So this is the problem. We played this huge strategic battle game, and to be honest, the Christians lost. We did not play this thing right. We gave in, we gave up, and overwhelmingly the Christian church just threw in the towel. So we need to get back to Jesus. This For Him had that song, "Get Back to the Basics of Life." We need to do that. We need to come back to God and say, okay, we need to realign our priorities. And if you're going through this and you're going through the depression and you see these things, I just want to pray that God will be with you, that you will understand how to put your trust in Him, and that you will turn to Him in this time, that you will let Him take complete control. All right? That is my word for the day. I pray that you all are blessed. Take care, and we will see you again soon.